I seen her once on this very road. About the same time of night too, so it was.
Tonka tonka me.
A long time ago in an easterly state,
Nonka ponka chi.
the leaves having fallen to their wintry place, a little-known hamlet in this mountainous space was host to great intrigue. What is it? Shh. A mysterious case.
I was told of an ancient Indian curse.
On a dark country road one November at night, the strangest of strange began to take flight.
Well, I ain't never seen a ghost before.
It's still not quite certain, the events aforementioned. But here's what went down, and how it all happened.
Oh dear.
Looks like the white woman's got some company.
That, folks, is a bona fide extraterrestrial.
So what about the white woman?
She's been haunting this area for generations.
Don't you see what happened here tonight is historical?
Dork, do something!
Need a hand here? We've got something not of this earth.
Wonder what she wants this time.
I'm not done with Chambers Wig yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Blackwood.
Oh.
Yay!
So thanks for coming, because now you get really personal and close attention from these people. The people, those of you who came, you can ask any question you want. Their movie is Route 32, and the writer-director John Putch is here.
Hi.
Actors Jamie Rose, Noah Applebaum, and Mr. Ed.
So about, I don't know, in 2004, I'm a television and whatever, film director, whatever I can get. And in 2004, I did a mini-series for a TV movie house. When you're a director in TV in Hollywood for a movie of the week or episodic, you're not really, it's a different animal. You're not really asked to author the picture for them. You're really asked to, like, hey, do it the way I want you to do it. And so consequently, everything you see on television, while you may think the director is the auteur of the project, they're not. They're the person doing all the hard work for the writer guy who's too much of a pussy to get in there and direct it himself. Thank you. It's part of my rant.
Yes.
So anyway, so it's a writer's medium, and you really are told to, you have to do it this way, even though you may know better, you may have more experience, you may be, you know, much more an expert on the topic, yet you still have to do it that person's way. So,
did you say the writers?
Yeah, the writers.
So the writers have more power
in television. Yeah, in television. In film, different. In television, it's the writer's game. It's their world, and they believe that they're the only ones that know how to do it. So, if you're going out there to be a director, just keep that in mind.
Why don't they direct it themselves?
Sorry?
Why don't they direct their own stuff?
Sometimes they do, but most of the time, when they find out how hard it is and how much planning there is and all the thinking involved that they don't realize when they sit there and write their little stories, they don't want to do it because they're too lazy. They'd rather have somebody else do it. So here I am. That's what I do. So anyway, so in '04 I did this big mini-series for NBC. It was called The Poseidon Adventure. And I was really excited to make that movie because I was a big fan of the original and the book. And the original movie in the '70s with Ernest Borgnine and Shelley Winters. It was like an amazing movie for me as a kid. So here I am getting to go and do this 4-hour miniseries of this awesome book, and it's going to have all this stuff in it that the movie didn't, that the book had. And I went off to South Africa for like 6 months and made this incredible action movie for this TV movie place. And when I got back, the guy who ran the production company, who is the producer of the project, basically took the movie and changed it all during the editing, basically to the way he believed it should be done, and had nothing to do with what I did. It was the script and how he screwed it up. He made it a B movie. So it was really hard for me. So then I realized, well, the only way I'm going to be able to have satisfaction in making a movie or being a director is to make movies that I have control over. And then all of a sudden I went, wait a minute, I used to do that when I was a kid, when I had a Super 8 camera, and then later a 16 millimeters and all that stuff. And none of it was for profit. It was all for fun and all for the excitement of it. So that's when I snapped, had that epiphany, and I went out to the desert with about 10 people, a script, and a couple of video cameras like that. And I made a movie called Mojave Phone Booth. And it was a delight, and it only cost $30,000. And it became one of the most, I don't know, satisfying adventures I've ever had in directing. So having done that, I went, okay, I'm onto something here. I'm going the other direction. I'll do this during the day. I'll direct these TV shows during the day and go, yes, oh, that's a wonderful idea. I love that idea. Let's do that way. And then I'll go off to with my own material and go do it the way I want to. And succeed or fail, it's all on me. It's not on, you know, I'm not being blamed for somebody else's directives toward me and what I do. So then came Route 30, which we showed here a few years ago, and that was like, they just keep getting better. And so I decided to make that a trilogy, and here we are with film number 2. It's standalone, you don't have to have seen the first one, but I sure am having fun. I'm midway through this trilogy, and I'm kind of sorry to see it's going to end one day when I make the 3rd film, but then I'll just move on and do some other movie the same way. So that's the setup. And now I save my money as a television director and my credit card or whatever it is, however I can scrape the money together, and I go off and make these movies. And I call my friends and colleagues who are professionals in California and elsewhere and ask them if they want to go with the proviso that we're not doing this for the money and we're not doing it for fame or fortune. We're doing it for fun. In fact, less professional, more fun is the motto. And as a result, you get a bunch of people together like, oh, we're not trying to make a movie to like prove something to somebody. We're just here to, you know, and all of a sudden a good thing happens. And this movie, the good thing that came out of this movie was it's sheer silliness and joy, and the tone is all over the place, which you'd never be allowed to do elsewhere. It's absurd, and it can't be, the genre is, you could call it a B-movie sci-fi comedy if you wanted, but you also could call it a hillbilly movie. It's a strange, it's a smashing together of stuff that makes me laugh. And the great thing about it is I get to do it that way. My friends get to come and be in it, and I get to come and show it here. And Mary lets me come and show these movies here. So I guess today we were gonna, I don't know, I guess talk about that exact workflow and anything else you want to talk about. Maybe direct, you know, what it's like to be an actor in one of these, or what it's, you know, how I'm self-distributing it. Sort of almost anything you want to talk about. I also could tell you a little bit about the rules. I have a bunch of rules that I made up to make these films with, and half the rules are just to like get away with it, and some of them are pragmatic, and some of them are just stupid. But the fact is we're allowed to do it that way, and good stuff comes out of it. You're a filmmaker, right? Yeah. Sir in the back? Yes?
Yes.
Are you from around here?
He's saying how you know.
Oh, you do? You have a movie showing? Okay. All right, very good.
It's a short documentary that I made in film school.
Oh yeah?
I went to Iowa film school.
Yeah.
Very good. Have you made a feature yet?
No, I'm trying to.
Yeah, you want to do that. It's really fun.
I know.
Yeah, and with what you know about making a short film, you can make a feature the same way. And that's what I hope people understand. I talk a lot about it to folks across the country, and they're so worried that if it isn't really expensive or it isn't done in California, that it's not valid. And I say go anywhere but California, and you'll have something original. Documentaries are great because here's why I like them. I've made one in my life, but I love them. No one will tell you how you did it wrong when you make a documentary. Yet when you make a narrative movie, everybody's going to tell you how you should have done it.
But it doesn't reach as much audience as narrative films.
I I don't know, man. Docs are hot right now, and they have been for years.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And there's a lot.
Well, it's really great. I love documentaries. You're lucky to have made one. I hope you make more. Noah Applebaum went to the University of Miami of Ohio, and he was in the film school, right?
Nope.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you were you were at the other. Right, you were at the.
Well, my filmmaking partner at Miami University, he actually created a student organization.
That's right.
Because there was no film program. So he just wanted to make movies, and he found a few other kids that also like to make movies, and they went to the university, and the university was like, yeah, that sounds great. We can't really help you with that because we don't have a film program. So they just basically, you know, got the student organization, government organization to give them money to start up their own student organization, and then just operated with complete autonomy and made a ton of little like short films that played on the local station and all that kind of thing. But he and I, and actually, you know, that's kind of how John and I connected as well, is that we have this do-it-yourself mentality that you can't wait around, and you're always going to be able to like be resourceful enough to, even if it's not the exact vision that you had in your head, because there are always limitations, you can still make a hell of a movie on a shoestring of a budget if you just, you know, if you know how to do it. And that always kind of separates the men from the boys, is like, you either know how to make a film or you don't. But luckily in those college settings, when you're making like student-oriented films and stuff like that, you can come up with great stuff, or you can fall on your face. But like, those are the places to make those kind of mistakes, because there's no pressure whatsoever, you know.
The gentleman at the end is named Ed Gotwalt, and he's famous in Pennsylvania, South Central Pennsylvania. He's known as Mr. Ed, and Ed has a store, candy store, and elephant museum along Route 30 in South Central PA, and it's pretty famous in that part of the country. And Ed is a P.T. Barnum of his area. He can sell anything out of that shop, and he has for years. And he also was an actor on the stage in a summer theater that my father was the artistic director of in the same area where I grew up. So when I was a young man, my father would be doing plays. He would need some extra local talent to fill in some of the roles. Ed will tell you the story, but he appeared on stage in 1975, and we've been friends ever since. And 3-4 years ago, when I decided to make Route 30, he featured prominently into the notion of being in the movie because A, he had an unusual place. His location was an amazing place, and it proved an incredible backdrop for the local aspects of the story. And then, of course, Ed is an actor as well. So I've got an actor, I've got a location, I've got a place for the actors to rest in between scenes. I've got, it was like a partnership. That's Mr. Ed. And Noah and I met at a film festival in Ohio that he spoke of. And I was giving one of my rants that I gave you a couple of years ago. Yeah. And he's made some really amazing movies, and he's pretty well known on the web as well. He's got amazing stuff on the internet right now, and some commercials as well. And Jamie Rose, I was an actor in a TV movie in the, I don't know, in '06 or something. No, in 1980 we were, or '81, we were in an after-school special for ABC where we were high school kids, and we acted together in that project and have run into each other over the years. And then we ended up on the same set of a TV movie I was directing, and Jamie was one of the stars of that, and we reconnected. And she's a great actress, and I wanted to put her in one of these fun movies because she's also of the right mindset. She's creative and wants to do something fun. She's not concerned about the billing, you know?
I've taken an acting class just to see what it was, and it's like a bit of a mystery to me, and then that kind of carries over if I'm trying to direct them. I mean, a lot of times I'll just let them do what they want, but I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do.
Well, I would ask Jamie that because she's an actress who's and she also teaches acting. So
Well, the training. I mean, I don't know what your acting class was like that you went to, but you know, I've done seminars teaching acting for directors, and when I do it, I like to throw the people in it so they can really know it. But some of it is just really learning the language. Like, for example, I mean, I've had people direct me by saying, "Get into the wet." And I'm like, I think she wants me to cry. But then you'll hear someone say, don't. Here's an example. Okay, you mostly, most actors won't want to hear, cry here. Right. Okay, I actually do want to hear that at this stage, and John knows this about me, because I've kind of been through the whole arc and I'm back. Just what do you want? Is it expression 34 or 42? Right. You want to cheer right eye, left eye, what? Yeah. I just get it, But for most actors, they're going to get, some if they're like diva-ish will get all like, that's not an actor's direction, or, whatever. But that's not an actor's direction, right? Cry here, or get into the wet, or, walk there. So you have an actor walk there, but is an actor walking to a podium about to address the Supreme Court to convince them to pass a bill, or is it someone walking up to a lectern who has incredible stage fright, and every single kid who ever made fun of them in high school is sitting in the audience? I mean, this is the land that actors work in. That's the specificity, right? So as a director, I don't expect you to be an actor and do all that work for me. I expect my actor to have done their acting work. However, so as a director, if I say cry here or be more angry, that can really throw off my actor, right? I want to have enough understanding of the language so that I can understand what might help that actor if they get in trouble, right? Like, okay, so I might, if someone's really in trouble, right, and I want them to be more at risk, right? I might take that actor aside and say, okay, so let's talk, first of all, I wouldn't do it on set like that. I had a director do that to me, and it was like embarrassing. I'm on a friggin' set when they go like, come here. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to the principal's office. So already, there's like so much you have to be careful, because we're creative and we're sensitive, and you want us to be that way so that we're open on film. But hopefully maybe in your rehearsal process, you get to know them a little bit. So maybe you know that pretty much all of us have a problem with our mother or father. Pretty much all of us, on some level, have something.
That's why I started stripping.
But something. There's usually juice right there. So, well, go ahead. But so I might start getting to know my actors, so know that might be able to say to them, so put your dad in the front row.
That is all true, but I have found as I grow older and have more experience that you have to find out what kind of person this actor is first, and you have to know them personally. You need to go visit with them. You need to have lunch with them, or eat with them, or drink with them, or do something and know them, and talk person to person. And ask them point blank, how do you like to work? Are you I'd say I'm a no bones guy. I know you're talented, and that's why you're in this part, and I don't need to like talk, flowery about things if you don't. How do you like to work? And usually you'll find out the answer of who that person is, and you've done it in private, and no one needs to know except you and that actor. And,
but what if you get thrown, like you direct a lot of TV, so
right,
what if you get thrown actors? So what do you do if your actor isn't delivering what you want? What do you do? I'm curious.
I try my best to talk about the part they're not understanding, but I usually do it really casually and really, subtly. And it's not a problem. I often ask questions, but I got to tell you, that doesn't happen too often, because I work with professionals. Right. And when you have a professional, that's the last thing you need to do is tell that person who they are and where they're coming from and what they're doing. And I think the mistake young directors make is they believe they have to go to the actor and say, now your dog just died. Walking into this scene, and the person can look at you, what an asshole. Right. I know that. I've read the script. Right. So I don't know. It doesn't happen that much. But I would get them to know them personally, and who you got working with, because in the end it's all about personalities and who's going to be able to be friendly together, and who's there for what reason is what you find out. I think I often come across actors and actresses that don't want to be there, And in LA, people there's a lot of that because they're doing it for the money, or they're doing it for the prestige, or their manager or their agent said, you need to get back on TV, or you need to, and a lot of times they don't want to be there, and you can tell. And when that person comes onto your set, you've got a whole different set of neuroses to deal with that have nothing to do with getting the story told. And that's why I like, that's why that's a job for me, and making movies like this is a joy, because everybody who's there wants to be there. And I would assume that anywhere you make a movie outside of Los Angeles, I would imagine every actor really wants to be there. Yeah. So you may not run into the thing that I run into on a daily basis. And as actors on set, they'll be acting with people who don't want to be there and don't like them, or have a stick up their ass about something. And then it just turns the whole experience into something that shouldn't be. I think everybody wants the same thing. When they get there, they want to know what they're doing. They want to get it done, and then they want to leave. And they
except me. I want to stay.
Right. And that is the key, because as a director, I've learned, a filmmaker, no one cares as much about your movie as you do, and no one ever will. And if you ever believe that they will believe the same belief you have about your movie, forget it. They don't. So knowing that, you got to know, here's what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and then boom, we're out of here.
Right.
And they will do anything for you when you're.
It's really true.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not wasting someone's time, you feed them right, they'll do anything you want, And John was great about having everything organized, so we knew exactly what, I mean, like minutes where we'd have to be and what we're doing, We're actors, we're sheep. We don't know what the hell's going on. We need someone to tell us to do stuff. So when we saw, like, our day out of days, this shoot was going on here, this shoot was going on here, everyone was like, fantastic. So when, if you can do that, if you can pre-produce as much as possible, and then on the day when those inevitable problems arise, then you can troubleshoot, and you can, no sweat. So, and John was great about saying, all right, it's way too cold this day to shoot this scene. We're in the middle of winter in Pennsylvania. We can't shoot this. So let's let's rearrange this. Let's cut this scene here, and then we'll pick it up tomorrow. And
I've never heard a director say that. That's actually.
He also would say, we were so cold, and he'd say, okay, cut, actors go in, warm up, get yourselves warm. And there was a couple things. One is there was like, Daddy cares. There was that whole thing, he cares about us, we'll do anything. Because it's like the captain of the ship, the captain, I'll go down with my captain. Or the captain you want to mutiny against, right? But the guy who cares, but also he understands that we need to be warmer so our mouths work, because he's an actor too. I mean, it's not just so that we're comfortable, so we can actually do what we need to do in front of the camera. But that's really important to this, that, think of the director as the captain of the ship, and, how do you want your crew to feel about you?
That brings us back to nobody cares as much about your vision as you. And you'll see it. You make movies and show them at film festivals or put them out on DVD, there will be all the people that you have apparently ruined their lives by making that movie. And they'll tell you. So as a result, you should know that even the people there that are working with you might in fact feel the same way. Not that it's a bad thing, but that you just need to recognize everyone else's wants and needs and agendas. And then all of a sudden it becomes easy. And it just seems so easy to me and obvious, but apparently it's not.
You're gifted. I want to just share one, because I wanted Ed to talk about it. I really wanted to share this because it was apropos of that conversation. When I first decided I wanted to make some little movies, I went in and I just wrote a scene. And I cast these two great actor friends of mine. And it was a scene about two people who were both married and were going to maybe have an affair. It was a sexy little scene, like in a bar, and they were having this conversation. These two actors had been boyfriend and girlfriend, but had broken up. And when we went to do the scene, they hadn't seen each other. So it was so hot and awesome and fiery because they hadn't seen each other, and they were having this, using my words to like be in conversation with each other. And they went home and had sex and became boyfriend and girlfriend again, right? Well, I had then decided, though, I shot it in one. Because I was everything. I was camera, I was a craft service, I was everything. And I was like, this is too hard. Okay, now I'm going to add, I'm going to see DP, and I had all these people. And, all these people, like 4 people I called it. So they'd already been in a relationship. It was dead. There was no excitement, no fire, because they were already had figured out that there was no more problem between them. And I didn't know, even though I'd been acting since I had no idea how to get the performance. So that's what I'm saying, you know, that's when I went on my journey learning about, I started teaching acting, but also learning, like, okay, so what do I need to know? So because I couldn't, I was like, oh my God, it's not interesting, and I don't know what to say to them, except why aren't you good anymore? I'll shut up.
I wanted to ask Ed, Ed's came all the way from Pennsylvania to be here, and Ed is a businessman, and he has several businesses, yet on the side he's an actor for me and this theater that we used to work at. What's it like for you, Ed, since your main profession is not acting, it's your secondary profession, really?
Very true, and I'm glad you asked me that question. I've been in retail sales for over 60 years. As retail sales, and you're a salesman, you'll become an actor. I've been acting all my life and trying to sell a product. I find myself trying to find the right crew around me to help sell the product, wear the right costume, have the proper lighting. It's just like being in a show. And for me to get the opportunity to become a real actor, it was quite great for me. And watching John work, I realized that his business is just like mine. I spent many years as a store manager for a major chain in Washington, D.C. And the favorite words of all of the bosses were, cut the effing payroll. Heard it all the time, cut the effing payroll. And that's what John has done, he's cut the payroll to get the product. And in my store, I try to cut the payroll. But I still try to keep enough of the right people to get the job done. That's what he has done. He's cut the payroll, but kept a small amount of people, the right people, to get the job done. What the folks he has know what they're doing. They don't need to have 5 assistants in order to get it across for them. He's trying to have a product that he can put out to the people. And I always say I'm in the people business. And that's what John's in. John's in the people business. He wants people to come sit in the seats and watch the movie. I want people to come to my store and buy peanuts. It's the same principle. It's the same business.
The peanut principle.
For me, as an avid moviegoer, since I was 6 years old, my first movie was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And a couple years ago, I sat in the same theater in York, Pennsylvania for a premiere of Route 30, the same theater where I sat and watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as a 6-year-old. Now I'm watching myself up in the big screen. I mean, it's just incredible to have this experience, because I love acting. I would do acting before I would do retail sales, actually. But I've realized that the retail sales and the acting business and the director business, it all kind of comes together. It's all about the same thing. Knowing who you're working with. We hire employees, and some employees don't want to be there. Some employees know more about it than what I do. And you don't want to keep those kind of employees. You want the employees that will, I know I'll find nobody who will care about Mr. Ed as much as I do. I don't expect that ever to happen. Same way he won't be able to care about his movies as much as he does. They won't care about my store as much as I do. But I try to find people who at least will have a little wanting to care a little bit. And that's what he has gotten, people who want to care. And it's important for me to have those kind of people in my store to sell to my customers. It's all about directing the show and getting the lights right and the right costume, the right product on the counter, and the right colors around it. Same principle. But for me to be an actor, that's what I want to do.
That was great. I like that, the peanut principle. It's all about the peanut principle. It's really true.
Ed, how is it different working on stage than acting in a film? You once told me it occurred to you.
Well, working on stage, it's very gratifying when you have a line that gets a laugh, or you do something that you hear about later how much you enjoyed it. But it's harder, I think, to be a stage actor than to be a movie actor. On the stage, you can't say cut and start over again. You got to learn all the lines. What's really kind of funny is 2 years ago, John directed me in a show at Totem Pole Playhouse called 45 Seconds from Broadway. And in the first act, I set center stage, and never said a word, not a single word. But in the second act, I had lines in both scenes, and it was great fun. But in the movie, I realized after several days of trying to learn my lines that in the movie, you don't have to know all your lines the first time you have a scene. But on stage, you have to know all the lines, then where to stand, where to move to. But in the movie, you can do it on a daily basis. So it really gives you a chance to really work on those lines the day you're going to shoot, and know those lines when you walk on set, and not have to worry about it. Then that night, you worry about the next day's shoot. I think that sitting in a movie theater and watching a movie and having people laugh at what you said or did, it's wonderful. But I think it's a huge difference. On the stage, you have to make sure the person in the back row can hear you. But with a movie, you're just talking to each other across like this, and you don't have to worry about projecting your voice and everything. I think by not having to project your voice, it gives you more time to do other things with your face and with your voice. So I prefer the movies over stage, but I'll take any job I can get.
So you filmmakers here, you've got a character man sitting at the end of the table here.
John, can I ask you a question to
I work
that
for
point?
peanuts.
Have you ever had to maybe pull aside a theater actor while you're shooting and say, tone it down, we're close up,
Sure.
you don't have to project?
Yeah, sometimes.
How do you do it without embarrassing?
Because I mean, a lot of people that they don't start in film, they start in theater and then kind of progress to film.
Well, I remember in the first movie, Ed, I don't know that you'd never been in a movie, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Ed had done theater, so I found Ed was still feeling like when he was in a scene that there was an audience out here, like you guys. And I remember I had to say, Ed, all you need to do is convince the guy you're in the scene with. You don't need to worry about anybody else. And that just changed your whole demeanor. And
immediately, I hadn't thought about that, but he's right. Yeah. I'm talking to Noah here, and that's all I'm talking to.
Right.
But on the stage, you're talking to the person there, but also all the people in the audience.
Yeah. So that was
big
a big
difference.
Yeah. But you take that for granted, but that happened to Molly Lar in our movie too. Mm. She didn't know she didn't have to learn all the lines.
Oh.
That she didn't realize till someone told her, no, you only have to learn tomorrow's line. You don't have to learn the entire script. So she was very relieved when she found out. I've been trying to get the rights back of Route 30, the first movie, from an evil empire known as Echo Bridge, and I talked about them in the thing. And they basically made, I estimated they made about $40,000 in sales of DVDs from Route 30, the first movie, and I never saw a dime. And I couldn't get them to report it.
They paid off all their
Oh yeah. Well, they write it up so, hey, we sold 4,000 units, and that equals, whatever, 35, 40 grand or whatever, retail or wholesale. But it cost us $55,000 to market it and and produce the disc. And that's what they do. That's a whole nother rant I'll probably give next year here. I'll have a lot more to say about it. But anyway, I got the money. I got the movie back. I literally pounded on their door and talked to their business affairs, and I said, you have to give it back. You're not doing anything with it. You've deep sixed it. You're not making more discs. I want everything back. And she said, okay, that's no problem. And so I got it back and I reissued the DVD under my own, reissued it. And I've been selling that since. Not, hasn't sold a lot, but at least it's mine. And now with part 2, I'm not hiring a sales agent or a distributor in the normal way that we're always told to do. I'm doing it myself, and I love it, and it's going great. I've booked it into 3 towns in Pennsylvania that saw the first one and are waiting for it. Chambersburg, where it was shot, Gettysburg, which is the next town over, and York, Pennsylvania, which is coming up in February. And I rent the theater out. I set a ticket price. I make a deal with the theater. I sell DVDs at the location, and we have a Q&A with everybody who can come. And it's sort of like a little show. It's like a little entertainment show. and people love it. And we've sold out, you know, both 2 cities so far. You know, granted, it's 1 or 2 nights each, but that's enough for this size movie. And then I've made the DVDs, and I sell them out of my house. It's on Amazon, it's on my website. You can click a button, a PayPal button, and buy it. And I sit at my desk and put it in an envelope and a stamp on it and send it to you. And I got to tell you what, you know, small revenue notwithstanding, it's more than I've ever seen in 15 years of going through the normal proper channels.
What about Netflix and iTunes? Do you use them at all? Or?
Hate them.
Yeah.
They're no good. They're now Blockbuster to me, because they require all manner of rip-off deliverable stuff that you just don't need anymore, and they still want. They all want what's known as an E&O policy, an error and omissions policy, which is the biggest scam in distribution. Whoever invented that is a genius. It's an insurance policy that all distributors make the producer take out in order to absolve them of any legal problems that may arise in the future. So it's $3,000 for this policy, which basically gives them an insurance policy. So nobody comes and sues Netflix, or nobody comes and sues iTunes because you had a Coke logo in your thing, and Coke is now suing us. No one does that. You know, Coke's not going to do that anyway. But they all want that, and they won't accept anything other than that because they're afraid of. Like I say, I'll sign an affidavit saying, you're not responsible, I am. Any legal matters, if you get sued, it's on me. I sign it, I get it notarized, I stamp it, I get it a legal document. They go, no, I can't do that, it's got to be an E&O policy. I said, but this is better than an E&O policy. I'm guaranteeing it. Yeah, but if we get sued, we get money from the E&O policy. So they're just, you know, it's corporation.
Yeah.
And I can't do it. I just can't send it there. And I got to tell you something. I've been tracking. Let's say about a year now. I've been selling the first movie on my website and my own Amazon, you know, page, and I'd say 85% of the sales have come from the website of the movie, not Amazon, which is really surprising to me because I thought everybody goes to Amazon to buy their DVDs. I really did, but in this case, not. And now with the advent of Facebook, you can advertise your movie on Facebook too, and I've been using Facebook ads. And you can target the ad for the movie and the DVD with a click that'll go right to your page to buy it. And I spend about $28 a week on, and I get millions, exposure to millions of people on Facebook that are targeted to Route 30. And you know what? Amazon is really the only filmmaker-friendly outlet now because they don't care about an E&O policy, and they don't care about going to an aggregator to have your file, your HD file created for you. iTunes is it's a bunch of Nazis. You have to use these 5 companies to prepare the video file to download on, and I'm going, but I can do the same exact thing. Yeah. And they go, no, 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 and then that company charges you whatever, $1,500 to $2,000, and then before you know, it's a racket. Yeah. It's like all the levels of middlemen, of vultures on the way up to the actual person that wants to push the button and buy it is astonishing. So that's why, you know, if this movie were $1 million or $2 million, we wouldn't even be sitting here and I wouldn't be talking about this. It would have been with a regular sales agent, and it's up to them and let them lose money. But since they're so small and you now can actually market to your own audience, this is great news for a guy like me. But yeah, I have done that, and I'm also going to offer it on the website too. I'm going to offer the same thing. Click a button and download the iPad movie file.
That's such a great thing.
Yeah.
Because so often too, I don't need to have the DVD like in my collection. Who wants to?
DVDs are gone. They're heading.
Amazon is as much flag as it's getting, because I'm a writer too, and I had a book come out a year ago through a mainstream publisher, and so many writers now are just going right to ebooks because it's like you can just and Amazon really makes it possible. So I was wondering if they had an ancillary thing for films.
And you know, if I ever get to a point where I can't handle the bandwidth that wants to download one of my movies, I'll consider it a blessing, and I'll figure out how to get more bandwidth. But right now, you know, I'm selling 5 to 10 discs a month, which I think is astonishing. Since I think that's a lot. It's not a lot for everyone else, but it's a lot.
Does that cover the Facebook bill?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I need to sell 1.5 DVDs to pay for the weekly Facebook tab. But there's nowhere you can get better advertising for 62 cents to $1 a click. It's better than Google even. The Facebook ads are pretty easy. You go on faith that your ad is actually showing up. They claim it is.
It is. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, because I've had sales based on it, and they are charging you for clicks.
It also makes sense because Facebook ads were criticized by people, like the big car companies were leaving because people they don't care about those, but they will buy a book or a movie or a smaller ticket item or a hair, like to get your hair cut or.
Yeah, so the world is great for an independent filmmaker now because you can get just like musicians, you can get your work immediately into your hands if I know how to get it to you. I do not use Indiegogo or Kickstarter, although that's new. It's in the last 3 or 4 years. Noah will answer that question. He knows about it because I don't need to. And I've made movies before where I've raised money, by hook or by crook, and I don't like the feeling I get in having to owe someone money for making my movie that no one cares about but me. So why shouldn't I put my money where my mouth is and create it myself and pay for it myself? Luckily, I can do that, and that's what I'm going to do. But this is a SAG movie, and they usually always are. And the SAG contract for movies under $200,000 is the ultra-low budget agreement, and that is $100 a day for every actor, and all the fringes, the pension and health and all that stuff is included, or not included. It's above that, and it's a residual whenever one is paid. So I don't believe in. While I can have non-SAG actors in the same movie as the SAG actors, which I think is great, there's a difference, I think, and I want.
What's the difference?
They're better. There's I don't know. There's less amateurs, maybe. There's a lot more professionals in the guild, but I find that my non-guild actors are really good too because a lot of them have theater experience. And all theater actors are really always good, I think. Most of them. You have to have an eye for talent. You got to know the difference between a good actor and a bad actor, and how you can help them and work with them so you bring out the best performance in them. But I don't like SAG, Screen Actors Guild, and I'm a lifelong member. I hate them, and they are nothing but pain to a filmmaker. That's a whole nother panel. In fact, you and I are going to have some panels.
We should.
Although, but a lot of that is at the Los Angeles office because I know you guys probably deal with the Chicago office here, and I've heard that they're quite delightful.
Really?
So, yeah.
There's on the DVD of this movie, Route 32. There's a little piece in the behind the scenes about the SAG paperwork. And it's about this thick, and it weighs about 20 pounds, and it comes to you, and you have to fill it out, and usually they don't know what it is they're reading when they get it, and there's a lot of confusion, and SAG is terrible. They don't want to help me. They treat me as an enemy, even though all I'm doing is trying to do the right thing and pay my actors. So I have no love for SAG. And since they merged with AFTRA, I don't know what's going to happen. I would like to do my next movie with as few SAG members as possible, because it's just more delightful, because I pay them the same amount of money, they get the same treatment, and these movies really don't yield residuals over the course of time, because they're not going on to television, and they're not being sold in an arena where there's going to be, you know, residuals. But anyway, getting back to the collective thing, yes, in the event that this movie cost too much, first of all. I disobeyed all of my rules about micro-budgeting, and I spent too much money. But I had to, because the second movie in a trilogy is usually always the most expensive. Think about it.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah, because they...
Empire Strikes Back, right? And then the third one usually ends up, you know, being the cheapest. So but I spent too much. I spent too much money.
It's always the darkest as well.
It's always the darkest, yeah. But the collective is if I ever make the money back, I will. We divvy it up equally amongst everybody involved, and I cap it at 30 shareholders or collective members. So an actor who works one day will still get an even share as an actor who worked 10 days, and that includes the crew as well. So it's all even, and nobody has like, oh, I get 2 points versus your 1 point, and there's none of that. It's just all like ensemble. So that's the hope. And you know why this is a third film in with the collective idea where I want to share the wealth? But since the first two, but prior to this, were handled by a distributor that wasn't me, never see the money. From here on in the future, I'm hoping, you know, someday to be able to like send some money. But until then, you know, the actors that worked got a day rate, which is basically gas money. They were fed and they got to go out of town, and they were friends of mine, so it was sort of made it less strange.
Depressing.
You know? Yeah.
Actually, I was very happy to make the little money I made because it put me right over, just over enough to make my medical that year. I just needed that little, you know, and it just got me right over.
Yeah, so yeah, SAG is, you know, I don't think you need it, but if you have a great actor friend who's SAG and you want them in the movie, it's worth it because you can have that one SAG contract. SAG, all guilds will put a lien on your movie if you become a signatory if you don't pay their members. So that must be what that person's talking about. If you defaulted and did not pay your actors, say you had a deferred contract and you never pay them, and one of your actors said, hey, I never got paid and I just saw it on Showtime, they would come after you investigate it, give you the opportunity to pay the actor. The logistics in moving a company, a television show, or a movie are insane. And what goes on? The people in my department, there's at least 8 people in the director's department. And they logistically run the, you know, move the operation. And it takes hours to move from one part of the building to the other sometimes. It's ridiculous. So.
But that's why we love overtime. That's when you love being in the union.
Yeah.
Like, oh, golden time.
Yeah.
Take your time.
So anyway, and then the cameraman, I tell my friend Keith, who's the cameraman, you got to find a cameraman that's like willing to light scenes with a flashlight and candles if you want. And I say to him, you can have any gear you want, but you have to carry it. And all of a sudden, he's just becomes a clever DP that only needs this light and that light. Oh, I can do it with these two. And that's the people I want to work with because it is possible not to have all that crap and still have a beautiful picture. When entertainment takes itself so seriously that it's as important as, you know, healing and doctors and, you know, and nuclear physicists, then I say, you know, it's a load of crap. And those are the people I don't want to be associated with. And I believe filmmakers, there's a mystery about movie making and show business that just has a hold on people that I don't understand. And if you saw, well, now reality TV's helping us see the truth behind a lot of stuff. But people are so serious about it, the mystery in it, and they want it. They want to be that person on TV, or they want to be that director who did that movie in the theater. They want it so bad that they just want to get there for some reason.
And I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me, and I wish more people would just do whatever they want to do and not worry about the consequences. All right, what else?
I think
Last question or out?
Well, yeah, we better pretty soon.
I have a real quick one.
Okay.
How long did it take to shoot this one?
This movie was 20 days in December of 2010, and it took about 2 months to edit, and then I waited 2 years for my effects friend to finish all the effects. There's 120 special effects shots in this movie. The movie, to date, I tallied it up recently. I'm at 122,000. At this point, I think I'm pretty much done. There's nothing left to do. There's nothing other than to submit it to festivals, so it won't incur any more money.
And when is the third one?
The third one I'd like to shoot in 2014 of the spring.